Well, welcome back, everyone. Today is Thursday, November 5th, 2009. I'm Mark Leffler with co-host Guy Chapman, and this is the Green Tea Hour, sponsored by Teboa Energy Resources. Visit and bookmark Teboa Energy Resources website at www.teboaenergy.com. That's T-O-B-O-A energy.com. But, you know, there is one guy that can make a lot more sense of this than I can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Robert Chapman of the International Forecaster. Hi, Bob. How are you doing?
Well, pretty good.
Hi, Bob.
Hi there.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So, Bob, I know you've been doing a lot of programs lately, and you've probably been talking about Senate Bill H.R. 1207. Why don't you go through it a little bit with us and tell us about it a little bit?
Well, I think from what Ron Paul said, the bill's been gutted. There's nothing of importance left in it, and he said he was going to try to use an amendment when the bill came up to be passed in conjunction with another bill.
Mm-hmm.
And whether he'll be successful with that, I don't know.
So is the bill still intact, or just it came out of committee and it was just hacked up? Basically, they took out the piece of it.
Came out of committee gutted, and it's to be expected. The people who are in Congress they get their campaign contributions from Wall Street, banking, insurance, transnational conglomerates, and they don't answer to their constituents anymore. So that's what they're going to do, I think. And, is voted down. The Congressman Watt, who gutted the bill, happens to be from the Charlotte area of North Carolina, where Bank of America's home is.
Mm.
And I think it is interesting that I was informed by top bankers that the Federal Reserve is dumping its toxic waste into Bank of America because they want to take it under next year.
Oh.
And what better bank to get blamed for this from a bank that's going to be history and perhaps the next year.
Right.
I think the bottom line here is this. If the bill doesn't get passed, it will serve up a lesson to the American public that they no longer in any way have any control or any say about anybody that they send to Congress. There's no avenue further open to them in getting legislation that they favor, and all the legislation that's up right now is vehemently opposed by the public, but yet it gets passed anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because they are serving another master in Congress. And when you have a situation like that in a democracy, what happens is we're in a depression. It's going to get a lot worse, and as unemployment climbs, the attitude of people will change. We're already at 21.4%.
Right.
And I think that we're going to perhaps in the next 3 years reach 35%, and it will end up in a revolution.
So how do you think that, you said Congressman Watt was one of the major people involved in gutting that bill. What will not, this H.R. 1207 not being in its original form, is it something that's going to actually come up for a vote in the Congress, you think, or you think Ron Paul will withdraw the bill?
Gee, I don't know that. He knows best what to do, and I just don't know. I would think that he, as he said, he tried to take the original intent which is 2 pages long, if you can believe that, and insert it as an amendment in the bill. And if it doesn't work, the game's over.
Really?
It just simply is over.
Well, if we can't control these guys, then what are you going to do? Well, I think you got to do.
You're going to have a revolution. And the reason why is empty bellies bring that about. That's what people fight for, food.
Yeah.
They're losing their homes and their jobs and their vehicles, and many of them are living in terrible circumstances, some of them under bridges, and that number is going to double in the next 3 years. There's no recovery on the way. You got to be kidding me.
So who's directly responsible for this continuing to go on, Bob? I mean,
the Federal Reserve and the people who control it, Wall Street, banking, insurance, transnational corporations. I mean, that's where all the TARP money and the money from the Treasury went. We're on the hook for $23.7 trillion that we'll never collect, and our great-great-great-great-great-grandchild will be still paying this bill 150 years from now.
Right.
Okay, I've got one real interesting question. It's kind of an odd question, and I'm going to add. It's about the same subject we're talking about, Bob. Did the Russians or the Chinese have an interest in seeing this particular event occur in the United States? The toppling of the U.S. dollar and the pauperizing of the United States per se?
I think it's a power struggle. They were both put down by the American imperialist edifice, and they're happy about that. You know, they're both still communists. At best, Russia's government might be fascist, and there hasn't been much change. Economically, it has changed for the people, but it's still run by the same gang of criminals. I mean, it's no different there than it is in the United States. They're all evil.
Well, Bob, the more I hear, I'm kind of a water, the glass is half full. The more I hear, the more I see, the more I talk about it. I think you're right. I think it's going to take a revolution to get this done. I really do.
Well, it's something that I don't want, and I don't think anybody else does. And anybody who's ever been in war or in combat knows that it's a horrible, horrible thing.
Yes.
And that's where we're headed. And these people in Washington and New York City seem to think that they're going to be able to control things. And I got news for them. The military is not going to work for them. Maybe the mercenaries are.
Right.
But, what's 200,000 mercenaries in a country where 80 million people are veterans? 40 million have been in combat. I mean, do they really want to take on those odds? I don't think so.
No. I have a question for you though, and this is something I've since I do a little buying and I do some other things, and I have some contacts overseas and stuff. We're talking about some other things. How would tariffs affect the economy? Would that be a good thing, or would it drop in the sewer?
I wrote an article in 1967 for the American Mercury, and it said the only way that they can get Americans and Europeans to accept world government is to destroy their economies.
Right.
And they would do that by having free trade and globalization, offshoring and outsourcing. And that's exactly what's happened, and it was planned that way. Our economy has been deliberately stripped. They're trying to do the same thing to Europe right now,
right.
And they will. And, in fact, there was demonstrations today, about 10,000 layoffs at Opel. And I think that the course of what this whole thing is taking, the only way that America can compete again, because we have a higher standard of living than most countries,
right.
except Europe, is to institute tariffs on goods and services. I mean, you've got Ford with new plants in India, China, and Brazil.
Right.
You get General Motors with new plants in China, in Brazil, and India. You've got IBM moving. By the end of the year, they hope to have everything out of the United States. I don't think they're going to reach their goal. You get Hewlett-Packard, and it goes on and on and on.
Right.
And they come back and sell our goods here and make a great profit, and then the transnationals move the money, the profit, offshore. Now, 4 years ago, they allowed these transnationals to bring their money back, $350 billion. And they said that they would create jobs with the money. Well, they never created any jobs. And the hook was they didn't pay 35% normal corporate taxes. They paid 5 1/4. And they want it again, and this time they got $1.3 trillion. The whole thing is a scam.